Okay, let's go over the post election, the exit polling and stuff real quick. And this will probably be the end of maybe my election coverage. I feel like we don't need to do that much before I even start that. I feel like you don't. I'm feeling good. I think I said everything I need to say. People are fucking rolling out. That's okay. I don't feel like anyone's missing the crux of the message. Maybe that entire gigantic speech would be the video or something. But like, you feeling good? I mean, people can be doomer. You can feel bad about shit, but I would rather people be a little bit more fucking. You know what I mean? Just a little bit more ready to fucking pound some ass. I don't know why I said that like that. Beat some ass. Pound some ass, darling. Get yourself over this conflict. Then just go around and be doomer. I think we're past doomer. Past doomerism. Feeling good. Feeling fucking great. But yeah. I think we've said pretty much everything that we need to say about it. Probably an L. Donnie at 292 now. And then, whatever happens. It's going to be a pain in the fucking ass, but I'm already kind of like over it, As bad things come, you got to deal with them as they come. Try to figure out what's going to happen and then react to it the appropriate way. I feel like I just paid $20 for 200 people to leave, so sorry about that. No, everybody's been fucking bailing like steady. Did 200 whole people leave just during the story? That's crazy. I don't have any of my numbers up. I never watch them anymore. I don't I don't pay attention to how many people are in here. 536. If that's still alive, that's fucking solid, bro. That's solid. We're over 500. Who gives a shit? Exit polling though. Exit polling is probably the last thing I want to go over. So, exit polling is an idea on the internet. Really, it kind of is. What exit polls are is basically some people get like literally as you're like kind of like leaving the poll, the voting location, they just ask you some stuff about your voting habits and what went on. So like any poll, it's a bit of a take it or leave it. I would say that these don't have really that much of a political motive behind them. So I wouldn't be surprised if they're pretty much completely accurate. And most everybody else is seeming to, that I've seen cover this stuff today, is taking them as gospel. So probably it's pretty fucking accurate. But I'm going to go through this. This is from NBC News. I'm going to go ahead and refresh this one time. I don't think that they're going to have changed at this point. But in key states, so how this works is this is turnout, okay? This is not indicative of all people and stuff. These are hard to read. So, like, understand that when it says, like, gender, men 47%, like, men did it. It's like, you got to... It's not the whole story. Don't think that one data point in a poll is going to tell you everything that you need to know, and just be highly suspicious of anyone that looks at a singular data point or hyper focuses on a singular data point in a poll. Be very suspicious of maybe not necessarily their motivations, but their ability to explain what the fuck they're looking at. Okay. The numbers went down because the bunny left. Possibly true. So in this, this is in the key states. Yeah. Okay. So this is just key states. It's not even the entirety of the thing. So this, yeah, it's not even everywhere because they can't be everywhere, I guess. So key states too. So this is limited, I guess, to just these very, very contested areas. So this isn't even indicative of the entire country. It's just the places where the races were the tightest or the most likely to go in either direction. In key states, men comprised 47% of the electorate. Women comprised 53% of the electorate. Women voted primarily for Dems, all right, 53 to 45%. Men voted primarily for Republicans. So, yeah, it was a male thing overall. And men have a very big, this is a pretty massive, 55 to 42, 3% total voted for other, which is a lot, okay? I mean, obviously it doesn't take over all this. This is not, and I gotta say this 1,000 fucking times, this is not indicative, these big like margins like this, it's not indicative of, oh, well, if these guys didn't get these votes, it doesn't account for the fact that they lost completely. The large undecided means that there was a lack of effective messaging overall and disillusionment. These gray points are basically how much disillusionment there was, and it's more outsized as it gets bigger, okay? Because this 3% of the people that actually showed up indicates a large amount of the people that aren't accounted for, which is the people that didn't, okay? The exit poll doesn't count the motivations or the demographics of the people that didn't show. It's the people that did vote, what's going on. So having a very large 3%, which is much higher than the total amount of votes that went to the third parties, you know what I mean? If you like consider it overall, I mean, think how much larger this is than this, 53 to 45. You know what I mean? That's just fucking 2%, right? Versus 3. So a whole extra percent for men, just completely undecided. I think that that's just indicative of a very big amount of not happy with the messaging going to them. Republican men were like, okay, I know what I want. And Democratic men did not show up. Okay. Left side men did not show up for this one. Women pretty much, I think that's about how it was normally. I think maybe I'd have to look it up, but I think last time was actually closer to 60% with women. So they might have lost some momentum on the Democratic side there too. Are you white, black, Hispanic, Latino? People are giving Latinos a lot of flack. I think mostly because they're not like in lockstep with black people. Black people showed out very, 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 very large for the Democrat side of it. 85 to 13%. That's pretty fucking wild. Hispanic, Latino, 52 to 46%. So still not a majority on the red side, but a lot of Latinos. And this number is going to go up pretty much every year from now on. And if it doesn't, it's going to be because this category gets more and more folded into white. There's a lot of people that are ostensibly Latino that within a generation or two, they're going to be indiscernible from white people because they're fucking of Spanish descent anyway. They just happen to be from some South American country, but they're white as rice. Some of them are whiter than me. Like, they're like, I'm Latino. And it's like, I know you speak very good Spanish and your parents are from Chile, but like, bro, you know, you have blue eyes and white hair or blonde hair, right? Like, you're crackered up, bro. You're cracker maxing right now. That's fucking, you're pure honk. Okay. You're more Aryan than fucking anyone I've ever met. It happens. It just happens. And so like, considering the Latino population and Latino immigrant population as being like specifically just like they're all brown people is nuts. A lot of Latino people in America are no more dark skinned than any like Italian immigrant from several years ago. As they begin to intermarry into white families and stuff, they're going to just bolster the white vote. Some of them might still be Latino ostensibly, but like, it's just kind of the case, you know what I mean? It's not like you're so fucking, you're not like, you know, all the way dark skin, nativo, you know, mestizo, whatever the fuck. It's a very race is very complicated once you get south. It's more complicated than you probably want to believe when you get south of America, of the United States of America. You're like, oh, okay, no, isn't it just everyone down there Latino? No, not even remotely. Colorism is a thing. Racism is a thing. Native versus like colonizer, whatever the fuck terms they're used for it, is a whole thing. It's a very, very big, complicated mess. And a lot of that gets brought up to America, and those sentiments continue. You know what I mean? I'm not going to get into it because it's like foot and mouth area only. But understand that like Latino immigration to America does not, despite what some people say, mean like you're going to get more Democrat voters or anything like that. And basically, as people get more and more access to wealth, they will vote more and more conservative because, yeah, conservatives might be racist, but race doesn't matter as much when you have $150 million. It just doesn't. And if you have like 250, if you have $1 billion, you know, race is bad, but race is more of a way to make more money for yourself when you're fucking like a black capitalist or a Latino capitalist. It's a way to make more money for yourself more than it is like a concern every day. And then when it comes down to what you're going to be voting for and who you're going to be supporting in the election, your race may not be that big of an issue once you have access to middle class comforts or upper middle class or even upper class comforts. It just won't. And Jesus Christ. Although we have a lot of indigent or poor or whatever you want to say immigrants to America and stuff, That is not what our Latino population is made of, and it's not what the voting Latino population necessarily looks like. Shout out Cubans in Florida. And there's no hate in that direction. I'm not saying that like you should vote in a certain way. I'm just saying like if you expect there to be the same sort of like racial divide that forces like black people to kind of vote in the Democratic direction with Latinos because they also happen to be people of color in your mind, don't rely on that. Don't think that that's going to necessarily be the case. And also don't be like, oh, fucking Latinos. Don't you understand that they're never going to blah, 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 blah. Like, no, dude, some of them are like literally. If you find a guy and his last name is fucking Cortez, okay, like he's returning to whiteness. You're named after the guy that conquered the area where he's from. I don't know. Is that a familial name? Oh yeah, it goes back like 600 years. We have paperwork on it. Like, okay, no, that guy's whiter than I could ever hope to believe. You got paperwork? Like, he's a pedigreed colonialist. Like, holy shit, he fucking held out. It's very, very fucking complicated. I accidentally clicked don't recommend channel for Westside Tyler, and now I can't receive notifications for when stream comes on. Get dunked on. Now you don't get the good content anymore. Do you think that the Silicon Valley VC AI dickheads are going to be even more of a problem now? Because I know both Trump and Elon are pro, but he doesn't get along with Altman. I have no idea. It might not. I think generally people are souring on AI because it just kind of looks like dog shit, and it's also one of those things that not everybody can agree on who's supposed to make money off of it at the top. That's gonna be a war that's fought between giants more than likely. But anyway, Hispanic Latino votes account for 12% of the total electorate. White is 71%. It's a fucking supermajority in this goddamn country. And you know, like a few years ago, I remember they said by 2025. I think it was 2025, like white people aren't going to be a majority anymore. But the thing is you just open the club a little bit more and then you get more whites. That's how you do it. That's how they've done it for forever. Okay. Once upon a time, my people were considered swarthy. I'm tall, dark, and handsome because I have fucking dark eyes and hair. Understand, I'm not that white compared to other white people. If you start like looking at the top of the pyramid and it turns into that Community episode where the guy starts talking about ivory maintains the follicular purity and identifies you as a man of means type shit, it's a whole nother ball game. Elite inbred whiteness is its own fucking feature. Asian Americans, 3%, very big undecided chunk here. Very, very big. They're not happy at all, apparently. And other 3%. I'd say this all pretty much stacks up. I think Hispanic Latino used to be like more right around here, 60s to 70s, but this doesn't surprise me at all. And it's going to go more this way. Some of the biggest anti-immigrant voices in America are people that are Latino. And some of the biggest pro-immigrant voices are people that are Latino. If you're on the southern border, there's a very strong likelihood you have familial and business connections to the immigration issue, and it's very fucking important to you. And I don't know how to say this in a nicer way. There's a lot of Latinos that want to close the door behind them. Like, yeah, my great-grandpa immigrated here in fucking 1925 or 1975, maybe even like 1995, and you know they did it right, and these new people that are coming in did it wrong, and also they're from Nicaragua, and fuck Nicaraguans for whatever, Nicaraguanos for whatever the fuck reason, you know what I mean? Like, oh yeah, like I'm Latino, but you have to understand these people are from Guatemala, so like we just got to keep them out. Like what do you mean? Like, just don't worry, you just gotta fucking no Argentinian. Are they from Chile? Oh, fuck that. You know, like, hey, look, I'm a Colombian immigrant. Okay. I understand how to be an immigrant in this country. But if I found out that there were some people from fucking Chile coming here, I would be like, we have to keep those people out. They're Chilenos. They can't be here. It's nuts. Understand? It's nuts. Not something you want to go wading into casually, but like listening from the outside just so that you can kind of get an idea. Understand that in those areas, it's a very serious issue, and being like, the only people that care about immigration are white suburbanites is not going to get you the reaction that you think, and it's not going to continue on for a very long time. Immigration is a very serious issue in America, and I think it's going to be one of the big fucking crux issues going forward because a lot of South America's fucked up, and it does feel when you combine immigration with any sort of economic uncertainty, people will be like, okay, well, if we don't have enough for our own, we don't want more people coming here, which sounds reasonable as shit, even if it's racist or whatever, ignorant, if you want to call it that. Okay, but you're never going to convince somebody that's afraid of getting robbed that like being afraid that you're going to get robbed because you're a racist, like it's not going to allay their fear that much. You might be right. They might be a fucking racist, but the conversation has to be approached differently. One of the bigger fuck ups, and I didn't give it the credit that it deserved at the time, although I was feeling it a little bit. One of the bigger fuck ups of the Kamala Harris, the Harris Biden thing was just the inability to like maintain messaging on immigration, because they're trying to have their cake and eat it too, all throughout the sort of like leftist sort of chunk, not like lefties, but like everything left of center. It was a mix of, if you complain about immigration, you're racist, and also like fucking immigration centers, but also fucking Democrats do have a bad record on immigration. They're not radical on it. So they are both simultaneously not doing enough to curb immigration, which upsets the fucking anti-immigration people, and also doing too much anti-immigration, which fucking irritates the pro-immigration people and kind of leaves you with like literally nothing but looking bad no matter what when the subject's brought up. Do we need strong borders? Probably, yeah. And I'll say this, it's kind of hard to say like I want a weaker border unless you have a whole lot of interesting things to say after that. And if you're doing your messaging to people that live further away from the border being the entire southern chunk of America, so Cubans fucking trying to keep people out of goddamn Florida, that entire chunk, the Gulf all the way through fucking Baja California and up the California coast and a few states inward from there, they have pretty strong feelings on immigration and they feel ignored. If they feel ignored kind of in either direction, you're going to lose a lot of support there, because it's a much more important thing, and it's much more complicated than just race. Because immigration is also like, getting the judiciary fixed and getting the appeals thing fixed and asylum fixed. And there's about 17 layers of fucking band-aids on the entire process right now that all need to get pulled off so that anything can happen. But everyone's afraid that if you pull off the band-aid, you're either going to kill 10 million immigrants or you're going to let 10 million immigrants into the country undocumented, and they're going to be full of Hamas and blah, blah, blah. And you're like, well, I like the second one because I'm a lefty and I like to be performatively upsetty spaghetti about things, and I like being edgy. And it's like, okay, that's cute that you like that, but you actually just scared the fuck out of the entire electorate of all of these southwestern states. And you might have lost like 2 or 3 points down there because you said that kind of shit. And it's not just you did it specifically as an individual, but when there's a type of messaging and there's no counter messaging to it in a subsection of an online political sphere, then you get to a point where that entire sphere is connected to one type of messaging, and all of the other stuff that you want to talk about doesn't matter as much, because if that's somebody's fucking bugbear issue over there and they just want to hold you to it, I can say like, okay, yeah, you want to talk about all this stuff with Ukraine weapons and shit, but like you're not concerned about our border at all. Like, why are you so concerned about Ukraine, but you're not concerned about our border? It's like, well, actually, that's one of the best fucking questions ever, because Ukraine is not America, with all due respect to Ukraine, and America is. You know what I mean? So, like, if you can't fucking handle domestic security questions, of which the border is a domestic security question for a lot of Americans, whether you like it or not, you're probably going to lose a bunch of points. Not all of them. You're not going to lose the entire election, but that is going to be, one of the 1,000 cuts that might fuck it up for you. And it's going to be represented in this demographic, and in this demographic especially. Some people are racist. Some people are anti-racist. Some people are just don't understand immigration, or you do a bad job of explaining it. Or sometimes you just say like, wow, if you're concerned about this at all, you're racist. And then people go like, okay, well then I don't want to fucking talk to you or vote for you because you're a fucking prick. And then they leave, and then you don't get that vote. And then that point's gone anyway. Hugs for y'all. I'm out. See you later, Redux. But if you keep going down, are you white? 57% voted. 57% of whites voted for Republicans. The crazy one is American Indian. Natives showed up for fucking conservatives, dude. Not even a large margin of confusion there. Like fucking more than double. I okay. Get it, dude. All right. Asian, a lot of third party stuff here too. 54% for, 39% against Democrats. Hispanic Latino, 46%. Oh wait, why did that happen twice? Oh yeah, this is the weird. I noticed this before. This one just includes American Indian, so everything else here is still the same. But American Indian just had a big point. White, non-white, yeah, whites pretty much pushed this election to Republicans by basically not showing up. You have to couple this with the amount of the voter turnout, and the voter turnout was like crazy low. Like I think it was like 10 million lower than last time or something like that, which is it's a state worth basically. And that'll be more clear as time goes on, but like just a lot of white people didn't show up for this election, which is pretty nuts. Non-white people, pretty solid turnout, 30% of the electorate, most of which pretty reliably went for Democrats. Sex by race, white men, we fucking did not show up. My brothers in mayonnaise, we said fuck it. God damn. 60% for Donald Trump. And not a lot showing up. White women, not showing up as much, but still not terrible. 45% to 53%. Black women fucking showing up, dude. Only 7% voting for Republicans. Black men, this is the thing that people are fucking trying to dog on black men for. There's like a mild amount of, I guess, like, I don't know, fucking hotepery or something, whatever you want to fucking be mean to people about for it. Black men, I think, increased their share of voting for Donald Trump by like 5 or 6%. It was in like the mid-high teens last election, I think. And that might be more represented again by just less black men showing up. I know that the transgender issues, especially, and abortion were pretty big in the particularly like conservative subsections of the black community. But I mean, that's not a lost race right there. The race is really lost here with white people. And I mean, if you can't figure out those numbers, I mean, you can call them racist all you want, but like, if you can't figure out this number drop right here, particularly among Gen Xers, which we'll get to in the age, then you're going to be fucking up going to the next election too. And I'll talk a little bit about that. That's probably going to be the end of everything today, but Latino women pretty positively out for Democrats, sizable, almost double. Latino men showing up for Republicans by a pretty sizable margin, 55 to 43. That's a respectable difference. Certainly respectable. And yet again, I guess it's just some messaging that's been missing with men. And people have been saying that for a while. It's crazy to actually see it represented in the poll numbers. Guys just absolutely feeling left out of the political process or not being motivated to go vote for Democrats. And it's like, damn, do you feel any sort of responsibility for all that cisgender shit? These cis white men. Like, damn, they got fucking upset with you guys about that one. And how do you feel about how that turned out? And which age group are you in? See, this is the biggest thing too. So it's not my people. All right, look, I'm over here, 49%, barely hanging on with a pretty sizable amount of uncertainty here, 49 to 48. I mean, it's supposed to be 1%, but that looks bigger than 1%. 18 to 29, pretty solid. I think my generation and the generation before me is pretty solidly going more and more lefty. All right, like pretty solidly. And we're not seeing, I mean, if 54% of 18 to 29 showed up, we're really not seeing the massive shortcoming for younger voters because of like Israel-Palestine stuff. I guess that's maybe necessarily represented as strong as like fucking Hassan and them said. You know, it was going to be like these 18 to 19-year-olds are going to lose us the election. Maybe more of them could have showed up. Maybe that number is actually supposed to be more into the 75 range, and there could have been more, but I don't know if I see it as much. Yeah, my demographic, 30 to 44. This is pretty much millennials. 44 might be a little old, probably like 40, which is only 10 years, but like, yeah, I don't know, maybe 44. I don't know. You guys can comment on that. But Gen X and like early boomers, these are people like my dad's age, literally. They're pretty fucking Republican, and actually 65 and over is even, right? With people over the age of 45 predominantly coming out for Republicans. And pretty much just not enough people, because I mean you see this difference. 45 plus is not that many people. I would have to look at the census, but then again it's a registered voter thing. But basically this is the entire adult electorate, 18 to 44. Only 37% showed up, with 45% at 63. I'd say that's probably the vast majority of core older voters showing up for the election and having a lot of Republican representation. Pretty much you can kind of see the final results of the race right here in the 45 plus demographic. So actually, maybe I'll rephrase that. Yeah. Maybe not enough showing up from 18 to 44 to push this equally in this direction. Who knows? 44 is 1980. 41 is the cutoff. So yeah, we have a few Gen Xers mixed in there, but largely from what I understand, this demographic, 45 to 64, is mostly Gen Xers and like the last baby boomers. The youngest, absolutely youngest baby boomers are in there. It is almost 20 years, 19 total years between the two, but like, damn. That's 35%. That's the largest amount of show up for the of any of these demographics presented. 35% showing up, and then 28% of 65 or over. That's solid. Or being comprised. 35% is comprised of 45 to 64. So just a lot of older people showing up. This is also pretty typical anyway, because understand this as well. These ages, 30 to 44, is bog standard middle of the workforce. A lot of this is you're picking your kids up, taking your kids to school. Maybe you have some teenagers. You're towards the end of your, or in the middle of your work career. This is full employed. You know what I mean? You're an adult. You have a lot of responsibilities from 30 to 44. 45 to 64, you are getting into retirees and into people that have longevity enough at work to probably get some time off and stuff. You know what I mean? 18 to 29, yet again, if you have a lot of obligations, you might not be able to get out. Maybe 18 to 22, possibly, but 22 to 29, you're probably working full time too. Yeah, the elections are in the middle of the day, so who knows? There's a lot to read into these. But I would say that 18 to 29 is obviously, as per fucking usual, underrepresented as a total chunk of all of these demographics. It is also a smaller chunk. It's 11 years. 30 to 44 is 14 years. 45 to 64, like I was saying, is 19 years. So these chunks are pretty fucking blup, blup, blup. And then 65 and over is just all of the rest of the people. I don't know why these demographic spreads specifically were chosen. I like this one a little bit better. 18 to 44 and 45 plus. 18 to 44 is kind of the first half of your adulthood. 45 plus is kind of a different type of person. But whatever you want to try to read into these ages is kind of the hardest point, but these are where the biggest disparities, that they start showing up, that are kind of like, okay, that actually doesn't line up with the final results. Mail-in ballots exist though. How much leeway can we give people who say they can't vote because they can't get time off? Mail-in ballots are like tricky. Not everybody knows how to deal with them, and not every state offers them at the same level. Some states you have to have like, a reason to get a mail-in ballot. They're weird, and people forget, and people run out of time, like unironically. That's why I like trying to help people get mail-in ballots and get people to the electorate and stuff, and get people voting is much, much more important than a lot of basic stuff. Ages, they repeated ages again here in a different way. 18 to 24, 25 to 29, 30 to 39, 40 to 49, 50 to 64, 65 and over. So this is a different breakdown. And you really can see the trend going pretty fucking Republican the further you get from 18 to 50. And then 65 starts being pretty fucking middle of the road. So really just 40 to 50, 40 to 64 is kind of like where the largesse of these people are. So it's not even necessarily like our age voting decision makers, but just the lack of representation in some of these younger ages is a little nuts. Also, I don't know why they split this up. 9 plus 6 is what, 15? So this is actually pretty even with these, but they split this up for some reason. I don't fucking know. Yeah, either way. Age by gender. Men 18 to 29, 7%. Not a lot of showing up. That's, you know, that's a pretty small amount comparative to the rest of these. But similar to women 18 to 29. So, you know, it is what it is. 12, men 45 to 64, 16 to 19% women 65, 64. But the men 45 to 64 voted way more in favor of it. So it is really just kind of like these like middle-aged men. It's divorced dad syndrome. The divorced dads came out in fucking force. It's Joe Rogan fans, man. Joe Rogan and Kill Tony fans came out. Apparently that Tony Hinchcliffe joke fucking killed, and I was completely wrong. Age by race, white. This is all over the fucking place. Black voters, pretty fucking staunchly Democrat. White, yet again, represented. We bring it down. White people, 45 to 64, 66%. Very strong. Very strong fucking support. And a lot of show up. They comprised a pretty sizable fucking chunk. 25%, a quarter of all of the white voters were aged 45 to 64, and they went 62-37. People my age, 30 to 44, still white. Also went pretty fucking Republican, but less of an overall chunk, 15%. So pretty much like a non-show up right here. So like these younger ages not showing up, and this age really showing up in the white demographic, which is 70% of the total voting demographic, because we're super majority. It's in white country. That did it. So basically, I mean, we can look at so much more of this stuff, but really like messaging to this chunk was just fucked. Okay. And you did not motivate this chunk of the electorate. Where the fuck did I just go? White people aged fucking, you know, I'd say you can almost even ignore 18 to 29. It's like 2% off with a lot of uncertainty right there. They're pretty close, but you really start losing it. 30 to 64 white men. You lost that. Just absolutely could not get them motivated to show up. Is really, because I mean, it was a massive fall off, an insane fall off from the last election. So whatever that was, man, fucking Dems fucked up bad on that one. I don't know. It doesn't bug me. None of the rhetoric for me was particularly like, oh, I'm super irritated, but I'm also kind of built different from the average person. I don't get insulted as easy as other people do. So maybe it was all this fucking like, fuck men can die type shit. Who knows? I mean, if you were to find out, I guess the question is, if you were to find out that was the case, would you change anything, you know, or do you want to stick with that? Is it this like calling everybody an incel and making fun of divorced dads and not trying to see their side of it? You know, is it worth it? Are they that evil? Why didn't you get people to show up? How can you get those people to show up next time? Or how can you fill in that gap by actually hyper appealing to everybody that's around it and try to kind of like a moleskin, build it up so that it's not a fucking weakness to you? It's very interesting. I mean, I've heard more than enough people say the truism of people are going to study this election for generations to come. People will study every fucking election for generations to come. It's an election in the most important fucking largest country on earth right now. We could fucking blow the goddamn planet up 10 million times and we could feed every person on it if we grew a conscience tomorrow. It's all over the place. But these exit polls are fucking nuts. They're very interesting. I mean, I don't care because I'm not like hyper self-concerned the way that other people are. But I'm also not in the workforce the way that other people are, you know? I have a different type of job. I fucking skedoodled out of that shit because it's fucking hard to work with your hands every day, and I did it for 20 years and I don't want to do it anymore. I want to fucking talk on the goddamn internet and write books. So I mean, even I'm fucking, despite all my shit, I'm a little divorced from that, but maybe not all of you are. And it's just interesting. It's crazy, you know what I mean? That like actually like pretty much white guys not showing up, or I feel like not showing up because the numbers were low, is really the fucking loss here. And it's not cut and dry specifically what it is, but I will say that the kind of people that are supposed to be appealing to that subsection that I'm supposed to be hearing, I'm hearing all this, I'm trying to appeal to disenfranchised boys. Just not working, man. It's just not happening. I guess the fucking Gooner shit fucking goes harder than you would think. I'm not sure what to really make of it. And I think there's going to be a lot of speculation in it. I think really what I'd want to warn people against the most is just letting these factoids, which is really what they are, they're difficult to interpret. Interpreting polls is a job that people get paid tens of millions of dollars to fucking do badly at the tip top of the spear. And you're just as likely just guessing to get it right as if you just used every little bit of information that you ever had. Shout out, by the way, the 14 keys to the Oval Office guy. He completely got fucking smushed on that one, didn't he? As part of the 18 to 29 age group, I'm unsurprised that a lot of my peers didn't show up. Here's the thing. That's a worthless group. They never show up. The thing is, like, they never show up. Getting young people out to vote is so fucking uncommon because a lot of them, it's their first time. They don't know what to do. They don't get registered in time. They're fucking stupid. They're fucking lazy. They're fucking selfish. They're not a reliable demographic. That's kind of the issue. If you look at every fucking previous election, like sometimes you're like, oh wow, we got more young people to come out and vote than ever before, and it's like 2% more than normal. You guys are unreliable. You're an unreliable demographic, so there's no reason to really try to cater to you. But like a demographic that normally does show up, that showed up very strongly on the other side, there's a lot more to read into there. You know what I mean? Back to the drawing board for Alan Lichtman. I got to give it to him one thing. Like, how about also just if the fucking former president, one of the keys to the Oval Office is if the former president was literally losing his mind in public and gets replaced less than 100 days before the fucking election, or just 100 days out of the election, you might be in a serious issue when it comes time to try to fucking win that thing. I feel like that's a fair response. No, absolutely not. If the demo that thrived on identity jokes / insults isn't voting over being called divorced dads and incels, they need to suck it up. I'm sorry, that's very silly. I mean, maybe, but like, I don't know how to fucking articulate that to them. That might be the fucking plan for the next 4 years. Is trying to bridge that gap. It's a gap I've said people need to bridge for a while. The like, you can get made fun of people, and that's one thing. I highly doubt what the actual case is being mocked. More than likely, it's just economic fears and concerns over disenfranchisement and just not really feeling like represented by the government in a general sense. Not like, as a white guy, they're not doing anything for me, and I've specifically articulated that to myself on racial grounds. You know what I mean? More just like, this all feels like a fucking clown show, and I don't care kind of deal. Real BoJack Horseman grade interaction with the electorate, not like fucking... Not as much Joe Rogan-y stuff, but like those are the people that talk to them. And if you're not going to talk to them, I mean, they're not going to hear you. So kind of an interesting way to move forward. A lot to think about. And damn, if that's going to fuck people going forward, I will say this, I don't think that trying to guilt those demographics into voting more or like poo-pooing them is going to accomplish much. So I would just I would spend your time planting plants or something instead of doing that. Like, if you could choose between like getting on Twitter and complaining about fucking the people that didn't show up to vote for being like racist or something, or you could just like go clean your room, I would go clean your room. I'd do a Vosh. Lichtman is finished, bro. Dude, he came out of nowhere. You know what I mean? This election has made me think some lefty communities are kind of bubbles. Like, we don't even want to see much going on. And I feel like some of us weren't prepared enough for this outcome. That's 100% true. And it really goes back. I blame Vosh for a lot of this shit. I blame Hassan for a lot of this shit. Because there is outreach that you can be doing. Vosh stopped doing it because he went Fortress Arc because of the pedophile shit. And Hassan has been a fucking psycho for the last year. I mean, a little more needs to be said, but they're both extremely alienating to that kind of demographic. And I don't think it really needs to be like you got to go fucking coddle them or anything, but you have to give people a reason to go and vote, right? And a lot of people don't understand it as a civic duty, especially Gen Xers. Gen Xers are the fucking most spiritually lazy people ever. That's why their entertainment sucks compared to all of ours. All they do is complain about how no one wants to watch all their fucking bullshit that they made in the fucking 80s anymore. Goddamn fucking Gen Xers. They were all raised on fucking toy cartoons to sell fucking Bandai Namco shit, okay? I think Twitter cooking people's brains after Elon bought it helped every terminally online dude in their 30s was fucking mainlining Twitter shit for 2+ years. I think it's more guys in their 40s, late 30s, 40s, that are the heavier one looking at this. Maybe some guys in their 30s, but yeah. Fucking probably about, the actual demographic is probably about 38 to 50 looking at these. 38 to 50 is cooked right now. 38 to 50 is very, very red. And you can see it. I was watching the podcast circuit and stuff, and the people's concerns are just not even what you would think. It's not even really just like they're making fun of me. It's more like, I don't want to listen to you because you sound like a dickhead, and so I'm going to ignore you. Like whenever on the rare occasions really where they talk about this stuff, it's kind of like, oh look, there's some like people doing some fucking freak shit on the left. They seem like a bunch of goober clowns. Their biggest concerns are just like, I was listening to Shane Gillis. He's just like, he's terrified of, well, not terrified, jokingly worried about World War III and nukes starting if Donald Trump didn't get elected, because they think that Donald Trump is going to quell the international circuit by being nice to dictators, which you cannot like if you're on the left. I hope it works because he's in charge. So I really fucking, it would be good to find out that I'm wrong. It would be good to find out that I'm wrong. That's all I can say. I'm wishing the guy the best of luck. The same thing I said when 2016 rolled around. He fucked up plenty of stuff, but like, I hope he does shit right. I hope I'm fucking wrong about every expectation I have. I do not want to be proven right about a second Trump presidency at all. There is nothing for me to be gained in it. Literally, if it's not giving me whatever, like if I don't get something out of it, there's no reason for me to be like, fucking excited about it. But if Donald Trump actually gets fucking elected, well, he's gotten elected. If Donald Trump gets inaugurated and lives for 4 years, I hope that everything that he does benefits everybody. I really hope that we're all wrong about tariffs and dealing with Putin. I really hope that's the case. I hope he fucking negotiators in chiefs himself into history positively. Will that actually happen? Probably not. I don't know. But like, I don't like being proven correct about bad things. I don't get off on it unless it's something that's bad that's happening to somebody else that I don't like. In this case, anything that he does that's a massive fuck up could fuck me over because I live in the country. I'm in the bus. He got to drive. It's nuts, but he's driving. Here we go. And it's going to be a roller coaster. It's going to be 4 years of a roller coaster, but we already made it through one time. We did. And he would have been president again, unironically, already. Like, we would have had 4 more years of Trump if it wasn't for COVID. I highly doubt Joe Biden would have beaten him without the COVID boost. I mean, we didn't say that enough. Joe Biden kind of swung in at a historic time and won in a fucking big defeat for Donald Trump because Trump fucked the economy. And that's just the case. But then Joe Biden was also 1 million years old and lost his fucking mind in 4 years. And that makes the Democrats look like goddamn assholes for running him. And there's a lot of other things too. And like I said, there's a lot of criticisms I raised. None of them are the specific one thing that's wrong or the one specific thing that could happen that's bad. There's a lot of issues. That's the problem. That's why you have to be strict on the small stuff. The things that you can control are one small thing. It's like going to vote. Going to vote is important. Maintaining control over the political sphere and supporting good political actors instead of bad political actors is important. It's a little bit. But like, dude, this is the 500 votes, maybe 600 votes, 200 votes, 50 votes that you can have control over by being smart with who you support, with how you have your conversations, and that's your little bit that you add. And then other people that they're not in this conversation, they don't know me, they don't know you, but they're out there doing their own thing. Their little contribution goes that far as well. And that's what we really got to start thinking about. It's small ball. It's not about taking the presidency. It's about winning the mayor's office. It's about winning comptroller. It's about winning fucking urban conservation district. It's about winning HUD. So many people are hyper concerned about homelessness and fairness in housing and shit. And like, then do you know what's going on in the HUD race? Do you have a HUD race? Who controls HUD in your area? What's going on with HUD? You could have a lot of control over that. A lot of times housing and urban development, which is what HUD means, is controlled at the state level. Sometimes it's controlled really very, very much at the city level, particularly if you're in a larger city. Are you involved in that stuff? Because that's actually what addresses that. Like housing, I'm fucking concerned about housing in America. Don't be concerned about housing in America. Be concerned about housing where you are. You're paying the rent. Get involved in HUD, urban development, okay? If you're not there in LA and you're in fucking Kansas, if you're in like St. Louis or something, you know, some small town, one of the million Fayettevilles or fucking Huntingtons or Georgetowns that we have in this fucking country, go get involved in that stuff at the local level. Like literally figure out whatever your fucking bugbear issue is, figure it out. If you're concerned about Palestine, okay, guess what you're not going to do? Say a single fucking thing on Twitter that Benjamin Netanyahu is going to do anything other than fucking try to like use to kill more Palestinian kids. If you're concerned about them, maybe there's some sort of immigration bill or issue in your city. Maybe it's a sanctuary city. Maybe you need to like try to figure out, people are like, oh, we don't know exactly this, that, and the other. Oh, this guy is running for this office that controls how we house people or whether or not we even bring them in. That's the fucking shit you should be focused on. You can actually control international politics very often from the city and state level. It sounds insane, but we live in America. It's the greatest country on earth. Sorry, get dunked on. But when you have a GDP for your fucking dog shit state that's higher than the GDPs of most countries on earth, you actually do have sway, even on the international stage. You can become a fucking governor of a state and talk to fucking prime ministers from countries. They'll come in and kiss your ass just so that they can get a fucking trade negotiation done to try to fucking extract some of your fucking coal or some shit. It's nuts. It's all over the fucking place. General Electric, from your refrigerator or air conditioner or airplane is in Cincinnati, Ohio. It's just there. You can go and talk to the people that run it, and they have a say in that city. The city worked its ass off to try to get G&E there. It got a bunch of jobs. It was a whole big conversation. The people that got elected at that level at Cincinnati were talking to multi-billionaires that run this shit. And that is negotiating power. That's leverage. You know what I mean? Even being able to say that you know the people that do that stuff is leverage in its own way. And turning all that stuff away because, you know, you want to get hyperfixated on national races because of a bugbear issue that you have that actually you literally couldn't even control. Even if you did win every single race that you're thinking about, still fucking wouldn't change because it's another country and it's a sovereign nation that can do whatever the fuck it wants. You're giving up everything for a gain of nothing, and that's not to be respected. It's not to be respected. It's not to be taken seriously. If you want to feel good about it because it's like a moral thing that you're doing, okay, cool. Move to a monastery. That's why we have them, so that monks can go jerk themselves off and invent new kinds of beer. Literally and figuratively and literally.
Hope you enjoyed your time